is, ladies and gents. It is Friday. We're ready to rock and roll. Guest had to reschedule, so we're like, you know what? Let's get this show done early on a Friday afternoon. If you're out there, let's enjoy the show. Here we go, pushing past your limits.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah. All right, dude. Today's show, pushing past your limits.
Pushing past the limits.
The reason why I brought this up is because on August 7th, on my birthday next month, whoop, whoop, we're going to be doing an 8-mile run. James here convinced me to do an 8-mile run.
Hell yeah.
And so I did it. And it's not like I don't run. I run every day. It's about 3.8 miles is what my normal route is. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna step up this challenge, right? I'm gonna see if I can do this. I know I can do it,
right?
But I want to be able to kind of do it well. So the last
and
2
the other
days,
day, I was gonna ask, what are your runs been?
Yeah, so the last 2 days, yesterday it was 5.5 miles, and then today I did a 6-mile run.
Whoop,
and
whoop, look at you.
However, I got a little cheat, right? So yesterday we went out, Rosa and I went out. Ollie invited us to go to a little pontoon, you know, it was little like boat craft things, and it was a networking event. And it was cool. We were having a great time. Came home and I couldn't quite get to sleep. I didn't get to sleep probably until around 10:45, 11 o'clock. Still got up for 5 a.m. club. So my alarm goes off at 4:20. Still get up, and I'm not feeling it, right? I'm not feeling like doing my push-ups and sit-ups. I'm not feeling like I want to run, especially after the day before I did a 5.5 mile. Today, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep pushing through, but I'm still kind of on vacation. So my cheat was, look, I'm going to go do my run. I'm going to push through this thing, right? Even though I don't feel like doing it. It's not something high on my priority list that I want to do, but it's high on my priority list on what I have to do. So I do my run, come home, take a shower, and then I take a nap, right? And when I wake up after I take my nap, I feel my toes, dude. I got 2 blisters on my little pinky toes.
Oh,
on
nice.
each foot. I got a blister on each one, and I'm like, damn. And the good thing is, I was like, I'm gonna push through today. I'm gonna have the weekend. I'm gonna rest up over the weekend, kind of let my body recoup, and then do it all again next week. Every single day, hit those markers and try to increase a little bit, so that I just get my body used to it, right? Like once you set the bar for yourself and you hit that bar over and over again, that becomes your minimum standard, right? That becomes your normal. My normal is 3.8 miles, where if you're just getting started, I wouldn't recommend doing 3.8 miles. You'd hurt yourself, right? It's not quite.
You do 3.8 miles every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah. So that was my standard. Well, now I stepped it up. It's almost double that. I'm hitting that 6-mile marker. But it gives me. I have 1 week before I go back to school, and this allows me to just condition my body to a new normal, like to push past that kind of limit. But in the meantime,
are you going to start doing 5 or 6 miles every day, or what are you going to do?
I'm going to try to do like 5 or 6 miles a day to just kind of get my body used to it. Get my body used to it. I mean, it's not a big difference. It's not a huge difference. Okay. My run went from 30 minutes to about almost an hour. So it is kind of a big difference.
And if you think about it on a weekly basis, you're going from 20 miles a week to 30 miles a week.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. It is kind of a jump. But it's conditioning, dude. It's conditioning. Right. I'm trying to get to a certain level. You know what I mean? Yep. I mean, what's wrong with setting the bar a little bit higher? We do this a lot in our own stuff. Like you can set the bar higher for almost anything that we do. I remember when you started when we started doing with pipeline stuff, like you set your bar pretty high. You were putting a lot of hours in. Right. Even though you were tired, even though you didn't feel like it, even though you were exhausted sometimes, you didn't stop when you were tired. You stopped when you were done, when those fires got done being put out. It's a huge difference. All right. That's been my experience so far. 2 days, minimal tiny injuries. What's on your side, dude? What ended up happening? Tell me about your experience yesterday.
Womp. 2 days ago, 2 days ago. I was running with my partner Muda, and we were at Fiesta Island. Our plan was 10 miles, and right before mile 6, she had one of those moments where she just run, and oh shit, ooh, and that was it. That was it. We were right about mile 6. We had another 2 miles to get back to the car. We would have extended it to make the 10. But yeah, we ended up having to walk back the last 2 miles, and now she's walking around with a cane.
Oh, laid up.
So she's not doing great, but hopefully it's nothing more than a muscle strain. It'll be a couple of weeks, and she'll be able to get back to running at least. The goal is 1 3-mile run a week in a couple of weeks.
1 3 mile. Yeah, to step it back up a little bit at a time.
Start working back up. Exactly.
All right, well, let's talk about some of these things. Like, okay, when people hear us talk about 6-mile runs or 10-mile runs, they sound
even 3-mile runs.
Even 3-mile runs, they sound so crazy for people who are not in that space, who are not doing it on a regular basis. So how do we get people to push past those limits? Like, what do you think are, well, for you, what are some of the things that when you're tired, when when the alarm goes off, when you don't feel like doing that one thing that you're supposed to do, what are some of the tricks and strategies that you use to like get you to move forward?
That's a really good, I don't know. I mean, part of it really is just the just do it, right? It's like once you get started, and then, that you're going to feel better about it. The other thing is, just kind of reconnecting with myself, with like my own reasons why I want to do this, that, or the other. Like, perfect example, waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I've gone, a couple of weeks at a time of not waking up at 5 a.m. just because I want to give myself a break or whatever it is that I'm feeling. But during those times when I don't wake up at 5 a.m., right, I feel sluggish. I feel like half of my morning's wasted. I feel like, just the day doesn't start the way that I want it to. When I do my 5 a.m. call, when I do the exercises, when I do all these different things, it feels good. So I know that doing those things feels good. And even though not doing them can feel good in the moment, in the long run, I look back at it later on in the day and I'm like, I would have, been happier if I'd woken up and gotten my day started like I'm supposed to.
It's those cliche lines, one of the lines that I really like is, if you want your life to be hard, do what's easy. And if you want your life to be easy, you got to do what's hard. Waking up early is hard. It's not easy. Do you have a trick for like when you get up in the morning? I know I do.
Well, you are really good about just boom, alarm goes off and I'm up. And I can do that, but I prefer to give myself, here's my 4:40 alarm. That's like my wake up, right? And then 10 minutes later is my real alarm. And my real alarm is one of my favorite sounds in the world, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe theme song.
You full energy, right?
It wakes me up. It's it gets me going. So, hearing that first thing in the morning, and then
dun,
dun. Yep.
Well, you got to stand up and it's almost like the Pledge of Allegiance, right? You got to stand up and
you stand up when that music plays.
That's what happens. What happens. Speaking of which, today is the premiere of Black Widow. So that's a thing. Another Marvel song coming out here too. Did you see, by the way, side note, did you see on Disney Plus, by the way, that they changed all the covers of every single movie that she shows up on?
Oh, I didn't notice that. They changed all of them. That's great.
So every single cover that you see Black Widow in that movie, the cover of that movie is a Black Widow.
It's her. Nice.
It's her. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's some great marketing right there. So you have to read the title on there, so it'll say like Iron Man 2 and
right.
The cover is Black Widow.
I didn't know that they did that for all. I saw like there's the Black Widow collection, and so they did that, but I didn't know that it was all the way through. And of course, is the banner as soon as you log in, everything. I'm loving the MCU right now. Loki's been awesome.
I caught
Black
up
Widow
yesterday.
today.
I caught up yesterday, and I managed to watch the Loki's. Yeah. We can't spoiler alert. We can't spoiler alert.
Yep.
Okay, so anyways,
that's not why people listen to this show.
Yeah. Sorry. But it is who we are. So yeah, tough.
You're gonna get it.
All right, my secret for getting up in the morning. I heard this, and it's this lady that I see on some of the motivational speeches that I listen to in the morning, and she said, think when your alarm clock goes off, you have a few seconds before your mind is going to convince you to stay comfortable, because your mind is always trying to be content. It doesn't want to be challenged. It wants to be comfortable. It wants to survive.
Yep.
So any challenge that's there, it's going to try to stop you from doing those things.
Unnecessary calories to burn.
Yeah. That's your mind's, mode of operation, right? It wants to keep you safe. It doesn't really want you to advance.
Like the natural biological body wants to conserve energy.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a couple seconds before your mind kicks in and stops you from wanting to get in. Before your mind says your pillow's comfortable, your blankets are warm, you're really relaxed. What's another 5 minutes, right? Like all those excuses are your mind trying to keep you in that spot. So what this lady said was her trick, and it works for me like clockwork, right? Her trick was when her alarm goes off.
Intended.
Yeah, exactly. When her alarm goes off, she thinks of NASA. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and gets up, right? And that has worked really well for me. When my alarm goes on, I hit the stop and I sit up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just sit up. And that, even though, even then, even when I'm sitting up, I can look back and say, ooh, that pillow looks comfy, right? But I got to stand up. I start putting my socks on. I start putting my gym stuff on. I start putting my gym shoes on. And then I move over, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth and I wash my face. And then, I get ready and I lay out my mat. The washing the face definitely helps,
brushing
right?
my teeth, washing my face. Like, that's it. I'm up.
That's that. Well, and even then I don't think I'm 100% up. And then I start doing push-ups, right? And when I start doing push-ups, to me, that's when I start to feel my blood start to move. Because the first couple sets, I'm like pushing it. It's a struggle to get the first couple ones on. Then you get that little groove. And I can feel like my heart pumping. I can feel my blood flowing. I can feel, my lungs start to fill up, and I start to breathe a little more. And that is when I start to feel that push to like keep going. Right. I remember going to the gym, and I haven't been back to the gym in a while, but I would get to the gym, and the first thing I would do wouldn't be push-ups and sit-ups. The first thing I would do would be running. And there would be times when I'm literally tired. I'm thinking in my mind, right? Because my mind's still trying to stop me. I'm thinking in my mind, dude, it's okay. Don't worry. Just get on the treadmill, do like at least a mile, and then you're good. You're good. Do at least a mile. But what happens is when you get yourself in that action mode, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you pop up, right? Now that you're up, yes, your mind says that pillow and stuff is comfortable, but you're up already. So you might as well keep going a little bit more. I don't feel like doing push-ups, but now that I'm getting a few in there, I might as well keep going. And, once I start running and I get past that mile, well, I'm already got a mile. I only got a few more to go. I might as well keep going. That action step for me has always been that thing that helps me push to that next step.
It's Newton's law, man. Object in motion will stay in motion. Object is at rest wants to stay at rest.
Dude.
Once you get moving, it's easier to keep moving.
That Newton guy, I don't know. He seems kind of smart.
Something.
He knew something. He seemed kind of smart. That's why they named a cookie after him, right?
Yes, Big Newtons. That's exactly where that comes
where
from.
It came from, right?
Totally.
Yeah, sure. That's the connection.
Yo, this is what I had to grow up with. But it's more like this is what his kids have to deal with now, because that was a total dad joke.
Yeah, it totally was. But you know what the funny part about that is? Like, I'll say it subtly and I'll think it's funny, and then somebody else hears it on the side and they take it as fact. Well, Non said it. Like, that's where it came from.
Well, obviously you're a teacher and an educator.
Yeah.
And you have this, reliable source of a podcast. You're credible.
It must be true.
It must be true.
It must
Non
be
said
true.
it on the internet. It must be true.
Oh, too funny, dude. Too funny.
Oh, we have too much fun.
Nah. Well, so
All
last
right,
night we went
back to this whole thing about pushing past the limits, though.
Yeah, so last night we went to that pontoon, and I got to hang out with Ollie, Sharon from Esteem
Yep.
Movers. I had
Oh,
a
okay.
bunch of realtors. Adrian was the videographer there, so I got to hang out
Oh,
with
nice.
Adrian as well. Captain Pete, it was his. He was running the show on the boat. Tim Yates was there, so a bunch of cool people that have been on the show, which is really cool.
Nice.
And it was what was a really awesome experience was. I was talking to, a couple people here and there, and I can hear, behind me, people talking about, oh, that's turn on. He has a podcast. You should definitely be on his show. Like they've done over 760 episodes. And then I would hear things like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that? And Rosa was with me and she's like, dude, that's Mr. Consistent right there. Right. Mr. Consistent. And so it got me thinking for today, like pushing past your limits. The consistency of what you do, you become the sum of whatever standard that you set in your life. Like you show up to work on time because you're told to be there on time. That becomes your standard. You get up at a certain time, you have to leave your house at a certain time, you have to get on the freeway at a certain time, you have to stop at your Starbucks at a certain time so that you can eventually get to your spot. You have a routine in place. But what most people I think fall off is the only routine they have in place is the routine that's placed on them, not the routine they make for themselves. Right. So like, help me make that comparison.
It's crazy that you're bringing this up right now because I've been, on sabbatical here, right, for a couple of months now. And before May, I spent like the last 7 years with a hardcore crazy routine. I mean, I'm just going to turn my screen up a little bit and you can see right next to that picture of Danny, like that's an inkling, right? That's like a hint of what my schedule used to look like starting from the top. We got like 8 o'clock and what's at 9 o'clock and what's at 10 o'clock and like boom, 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 boom. And this was my daily schedule. And having that kind of routine, having that kind of schedule was productive as hell, right? It was absolutely productive as hell. I mean, I was getting a lot done. And, part of the reason why I did that, going back to consistency is my days in the Navy. I remember that one of the best deployments that I had was in 2011. And that day, that deployment for 6 months, I was up at 4:30 in the gym doing 2 workouts a day. I had my lunchtime. I had my breakfast and lunchtime. I skipped dinner most of the time. But like my days were very routine and planned out, and getting through that deployment, a lot of it was having that routine. And so I bring that into my my work life, my entrepreneurial life, and I still have that routine. And you're talking about pushing past limits. Like a lot of people have a limit, like they can't do that 6 days a week for weeks and months and years on end, but it was
Burnout.
just, maybe after 7 years, that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe that's why I'm doing this sabbatical thing. But I feel the difference so much. Like I still have that routine posted up there, but I don't adhere to it at all. Like right now, I don't really have a routine. And in one sense, I'm like, I feel good because I have this freedom right now that I can explore some things. I can, explore myself really and kind of figure out what I want to do next. So I have that freedom, and I'm blessed to have that freedom. But by the same token, like I feel the lack of productivity, right? Like I don't feel like I'm putting out product or putting out, I'm questioning right now if I'm just lazy, like I guess knowing in the back of my head that I'm not, but like the fact that I'm not doing a lot of things right now, it's like, am I getting lazy? Is this what's happening? So the whole point of this is that having the routine, having the schedule and saying, this is what we're going to do on a daily basis. These are our daily tasks. Like that puts a lot of structure in place that really allows for maximum productivity but people are going to reach burnout at different times.
But think about that. What it's given you, right? So 7 years. 7 years it took you to build this company to the point where you have the ability to take this sabbatical,
Yes.
right? There are a lot of people who put 7 years, 10 years, 40 years into a company before they get any type of pension, any type of retirement, any type of sabbatical. Like, and that's because they spend a lot of their time working for somebody else, right? Building somebody else's business, building somebody else's dream. If you could take just not even as much, just a little bit of that time. I love when I run listening to those motivational speeches, and one of them was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he talks about the 24 hours in a day, and he says you should sleep for 6, right? And then he pauses. He's like, I know. I can already hear you guys out there saying sleep for 6. I need at least 8 hours, right? And then he's like, well, all I tell you is sleep faster, right? But what he's talking about there, when he's explaining how you have 24 hours in a day, you sleep 6, you work 8, your drive time maybe is another 2, right? Like you have so many hours left in the day that you can put to work. And if you don't take the time to invest into yourself, into that additional income stream, into that additional education, into whatever that you're going to implement, you're not going to have that time to have that sabbatical. You're not going to have the freedom to be able to do what you want to do. You have to see that, yes, you've been putting 40 hours a week at a 9-to-5 job. You have your limits and you're done. But if you could just elevate the bar just a little bit, right? Add another 2 hours in that day for you, right? For something that you're building for you.
Yep.
You'll have the
get
freedom.
Up at 5 a.m. and get those extra 2 hours, right?
Your hours. These are and I don't think this is what people understand. And it's great. Sleep is cool, but nothing gets done while you're sleeping. Nothing gets done while you're sleeping, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll do the flip side. You're like, oh, how do you get up at 4:20 in the morning every morning? Well, I don't go to bed at 11 o'clock at night either.
Right.
Right? What are you doing in the evening? And this is something that comes back to enjoying this is quote unquote my time, right? Well, I'm watching Netflix at night, or I'm watching some show. Nothing, Mark Wahlberg, I remember watching an interview with him, and they asked him, he goes to bed at 7 o'clock at night, right? That's his bedtime. And they asked him, why does he do that? He's like, what type of productive thing are you doing after 7? Like, You're not. You're partying, you're watching TV, you're sitting down doing nothing, you're wasting time. And when we look at people who have achieved a level of success, they've seen where their limit is and they push beyond it just a little bit. That becomes your new minimum standard. That becomes that next level. And to avoid burnout, you don't have to do it for 7 years in a row. Pace yourself, right? But if you're not investing in you, if you're not investing that time in what you want in your life, what you're going to go get, then you just can't complain about not having it, right? You can't. You can't look at somebody else and say, oh, I wish I had that. Oh, you're lucky. Oh, you did this. Dude, I put in the work. I did the extra stuff. I'm disciplined because I love who I am. Right?
So yes, push past the limits, but also find the balance. Because otherwise you push for 7 years and then you're like, oh shit, I need a break for a little while. And
that's cool
you don't know when you're gonna be back.
I heard somebody say, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There's work-life choices. And those choices bring you work-life consequences. Right. So you can't, I don't think there'll ever be a balance, because we as human beings can only really focus on one thing. We pretend we can multitask, but we don't multitask. We focus on that one thing. And then while that page is loading, maybe, because I know I do this, I start doing stuff. And then I'm like, oh, this file is uploading. Cool. Move over here. But
I did not just swipe the window to go look at my stocks.
Right? That happens. So you can only really focus on one thing at a time, right? That's just how the human mind works. So don't pretend that you can do a bunch of things. Just focus on figure out what it is that you want to do and push towards that thing. Yeah, there's so much beauty in finding your time and finding what makes you happy for you, and finding and forcing and making the time in your day to do those things. Maybe it is, losing a couple pounds. Well, dude, if you get up, an hour earlier every day, you put in even a 20 or 30 minute workout, you're going to see a difference. You're going to feel different. And as you do that 20, 30 minutes, maybe you add another 10 minutes later on in a couple weeks after you're sore for a while, right? You build upon those things. They don't come overnight. I worry about when we talk about things like, oh, we're going to do an 8-mile run. Oh, I run, 4 miles a day. Oh, that people think of those things and they're so astronomical to them. They're so like way out there that they never even start. That they never even try. You look at, if you're an entrepreneur, you look at the Gary V's of the world or the Grant Cardones, or you look at those people who are ultra successful and you think, I'm never going to get there. Like, look at, that's so far away. Why even start? And I think that's the beauty of what we have on our show is that you get to hear from people who are doing it. They're not the ultra successful. We've had some very successful people on the show. Yeah. But they're not the ultra successful that you see that are your mentors, that are the ones that kind of push you and drive you to that next level. You see the people who are grinding, who are still getting started, who have limits and they're just pushing past them, who are still trying to figure it out.
However, it would be cool if we could get one of those ultra rich, like let's try to get Elon Musk on here. That'd be cool.
Dude, that'd be dope. I mean, imagine talking to that guy.
Oh my God. You'd have to speak alien.
Yeah, I can speak reptilian. All right. Spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen Loki, I'm just gonna say one little line. Did you see the alligator Loki?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's what reminded me. Dude, when I saw that, I was like, ooh, that's the lizard people.
That's the lizard people.
That's why Loki is an alligator in that one, because that's where the lizard people come from, dude.
To be fair, there's an alligator Loki in the comics, so it's like only like a teeny tiny % of a spoiler.
Yeah, but most people who watch Marvel never read the comics. I didn't read the comics. I'm not a comic book guy. But I do love the movies. It is our thing. It is definitely our thing.
Totally is. That's why we watch all 23 of them every year. And I got asked, I think Amuda was the one that asked me. Speaking of pushing past limits, geez. But Amuda asked me, okay, so you've done it 3 years. Are you going to keep doing it? I'm like, yeah. It's tradition now.
Pam, I don't know about you, but it was easier this year. Day one was tough. Like at the end of day one, I was beat doing that the last movie, the one that started like at 10:40. That was a tough one to finish. But the other 2 days, I felt like that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I dug it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just getting easier because we pushed past our limit. Because you can do it.
Yes, you can sit on a couch and watch 23 movies over 3 days and spend all this time doing absolutely nothing but eating junk food.
And pizza.
Which is also junk food.
It is also junk food. No, but dude, so last little thing. Look, if I want to leave you guys with something, it's you can do it. I don't care who in your mind is telling you can't. I don't care if your family, friends, parents, whatever have told you that you can't do that. You're not smart enough. You're not fast enough. You're not strong enough. You can. You absolutely can. Will you be the best? Will you be the best? Will you be the fastest? Will you be the greatest of all time? Probably not. But you don't have to be. You can just be better than you were yesterday. And that's it. Oh. So push past your limits. Get out there. Go try something. Go do it. Why? Because you can. Ham, got anything last to go before we head out? Anything
Boom shakalaka. That was it.
Boom shakalaka. All right, ladies and gents, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys back on Monday. Peace. And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@seeusfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.